are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hello and welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 428, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network and Dash Radio. I am Jay, and with me is Mark. How you doing, Mark?
Good. It is July 1st, the first day of free agency, and a lot has happened to not the Knicks, but kind of saw that coming.
There's a lot to talk about, though. There was a
lot of Knicks stuff to talk about. Yeah, actually.
Before we get into all that, we've had a lot of new listeners lately, so I figured we should just kind of introduce ourselves and what we're about, because
Did you introduce yourself already? You said you're Jay and I'm Mark.
yeah, but I don't think people know what to expect when they download the show, because it's not really the same as a lot of other shows. So if you're downloading the show and you're looking for expert analysis and detailed breakdowns of different things, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Yeah, there are other ones that are out there that are good about insider information, or what Jay said. We are good for, I don't know what we're good for. We're just basically two guys who are big Knicks fans, diehard fans, and we like talking about the team. The goal of the show is that you just basically feel like you're talking to two of your buddies in a bar, throwing some beers back, drinking some beers and talking Knicks and complaining about the Knicks. And we complain because that's kind of what we do. But
we would not complain if there was things to not complain about. But I feel like most of our complaints are fairly justified.
I think there's been plenty of times where we've been very positive and plenty of times where we've been very negative. I think for the most part, it's been fair when we've been negative, fair when we've been positive. We're both very hopeful that the Knicks have a bright future, even though it never looks all that bright. But yeah, I think so. Last show, some people, a little bit of critiques. They didn't like the fact that I was not immediately erect over the Kevin Knox draft pick.
Right. Yeah. Some people gave us some flack about that. I realized he had a good workout, which is fine. That's great. He worked out against like three other college guys. He
played some. I think they said he played like some 3-on-3 or 5-on-5 even.
Great. I'm super impressed that he played some half-court basketball against some other guys that might be nothing in the NBA. We were going by a lot of scouting reports and basically what he's done in his career so far.
I don't want to get negative about Kevin Knox either. No.
I'm not getting negative about him. I was actually about to say that I have actually warmed up to this pick since last episode.
Yeah, I mean, at number 9, you're not drafting number 1. Number 1, you want a guy that's going to be sure thing. And the guys we were talking about, I think the guys I wanted. Porter, I know he has the injury issue. I just thought it would be number 9 is going to be a gamble no matter what. I thought you kind of go for a home run, but it's totally fair. A couple other teams after the Knicks passed on him, and the injury issues may be a lot worse than. I mean, a lot of teams thought the injuries were pretty bad, so that's why he fell to the 14th in the draft. I also thought Mikal Bridges would be a guy that'd be a little more of a sure thing. The way they described him was. The issue was they wondered how much potential he had above where he was, and supposedly Kevin Knox also blew Bridges away in their workout.
Well, the fact that Porter might not play the entire season made me feel a lot better about the Knox pick.
I don't even know. I mean, that's worked out for the Sixers. Guys not playing in their first year, it's been fine. There are plenty of guys even forgetting the Sixers. Blake Griffin didn't play in his first year and has had a heck of a career so far.
Right, but chronic back problems really worry me.
Yeah, no, that's a totally fair reason. And I was thinking more of just go for the home run type thing. And Knox, so the take on Knox, and I am all aboard the Knox train. I am all I would love if he's so good that we play back my reaction and people laugh at how dumb my reaction was because he's such a surefire all-star. I mean, he's a Knick. I am so happy. I'd be so happy if he's good. Same with you, Jay, right?
Absolutely. Well, we want this team to be good at some point. It's been a long time. We had that one teaser season in 2013. But for the most part, since we started the show, they haven't been good, and it would be really nice to have a stretch of like more than one consecutive year where the team is good and we're at least making it semi deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, so I guess like the hype around Knox came up right before the draft. A lot of people, like the Knicks, started really hyping him up, which I thought might have been a smokescreen. But I didn't want to I never liked getting all aboard the hype train right before. Like a guy had a good big workout. I always think that the workouts are a little bit overhyped, and sometimes they don't matter as much. Everyone was hyping the fact that he was a little bit younger. He's 18, about to turn 19. I also think, like, while that matters, I always think that's a little bit overrated. The guy being 1 year younger than other players, that's a little bit of an overrated reason to like say this guy's better. And at the same time, if you honestly just read all the pre-draft profiles or like scouting reports on Knox, there were a lot of question marks. Everyone basically agrees he's got a ton of potential, but his potential didn't necessarily show during his first year. They said a lot, like sometimes I get a couple games where he looked great, but there were other times where like he seemed to basically he just disappeared in the offense. His defense was questionable. There were a lot of things that were a little bit questionable about his game. At the same time, he's a freshman. He's got a ton of potential. And a lot of people, Calipari, I listened to an interview with him where he's saying this guy, he thinks he's going to be special. People are comparing him to saying like he'll be special like Tatum. There's a lot of things people have said about him where they think this guy is going to be really good. He's a guy that, I guess one of the things that Calipari said that was that he was. They seemed like Knox was a guy that really understood where he's falling short and really understands what he needs to work on to really make himself better. And he said few players really seem to understand where they fall short and how to make themselves better. And Knox seemed like one of those guys that really was going to work and become better. He talked extremely glowingly, and just because I obviously talked glowingly about his players, but he seemed pretty hyped up on a guy that he's been coaching for the last year.
I mean, if he's anywhere close to what Tatum looked like this year, we're going to have a fun year.
Yeah, and it may be someone that I mean, he's young. He may be that like his first year in the league is so, and he takes a little bit longer to develop. But he's got. I mean, what it comes down to really is any of these draft picks, outside of like the first couple picks, the guys that are just sure things. Most of them are about can your team take his potential and develop it. And this the question is, are the Knicks going to be in a position where they're going to start finally developing players? The Knicks have been horrible developing players.
I have faith in Fizdale.
Yeah.
I think Fizdale is going to play a lot of the young guys, a lot of the minutes. I think guys like Beasley are in trouble under Fizdale.
Well, I don't think Beasley's going to be on the team, but we can discuss that in a little bit. He might be, who knows? But have you been hearing all the things the players have been saying about Fizdale? I don't remember even hearing the players talk about Hornacek in the offseason. And everyone's talking about all these things about Fizdale and how much they love Fizdale, and he hasn't even coached the team yet.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's got a great reputation around the league.
Well, it's not even that. It's that like they're having like unofficial practices. Like they say 6 or 7 guys are in the gym like every day with him. Players are talking about how he's working on finishing at the rim, all these little things in the game to make them better. He said they're leaving a lot of points on the board by not finishing correctly at the rim, coming off the wrong foot. Cornette, who just signed Knicks re-signed Cornette, I don't know if re-signed or signed him to a 1-year deal. And Cornette said that Fizdale was working with him not just to shoot the three, but also be able to get to the rim also. Which Cornette doesn't necessarily seem like a guy that's going to be able to get to the rim, but like he wants everyone to be able to create their own offense to a certain extent.
Right. That's going into free agency. That was the Knicks' one move so far.
Yeah, they also made an offer for. Just before we even say Hernan
Hizanja.
He's got to be a Knick because I'll never pronounce his name.
You were about to say Hernan Gomez.
I can't even. Oh my god. I am so in favor of the pick, and not just because I can't pronounce his name. I'm so in favor of them signing
Hizanja.
Mario. I'm so in favor of them signing Mario. I think the guy has a lot of potential. But Fizdale, all I've been hearing basically is good things. I think what was it? me find the quotes from oh, that's the summer league. But they announced the summer league roster also, which was pretty cool.
Do you have a takeaway on that, or are you just saying?
I will talk about the. I know.
Are you trying to do two things at once right now? I could tell when you stop mid sentence that that's something else happened.
I try to think. Trey Burke had some really good comments about him. Whatever. I guess a lot of guys have been the team. Trey Burke had some really great comments about him. Dotson had some great comments about him. Everyone has liked working with Fizdale so far, and you don't really hear that. I don't remember hearing that on any recent Knicks coach. I don't remember them hearing about all the work they were doing with the players in the offseason. I felt like when Hornacek, the triangle was like the guys didn't start working on the triangle to get the training camp and they didn't have enough time or whatever. And I'm sure maybe I'm misremembering. And it seems like with Hornacek, the guys would get to the training camp and they'd only have that much time to really work on everything. And that was it. And then the season started and then they'd have to kind of figure out the offense. It sounds like Fizdale's doing the work right now to get guys into his system from day one. I think Moutier said that the system seems 180 degrees different from what they've done in the past, but he really likes it. And a lot of players have said they really like what Fizdale's been doing.
Yeah, this is great news. I can't remember a summer where the whole team was talking about what they're doing. You said that before. It's right off the bat, Fizdale's just jumping into it. He's meeting players. He's getting to know them. He's filling them in. It seems like the Knicks were still trying to figure out what they were running in March.
Yeah.
And now they're actually doing it in July. July's better.
Yeah. No, it's here, so I have some Trey Burke quotes here. Hang on, let me find the part of it. Okay, this is just dead air right now.
I thought you had it pulled up.
I'm not prepared at all.
I was waiting intently on what you were about to say.
And I'm finding the wrong Trey Burke quotes here. He had a whole thing about talking about Fizdale. I should have had all this stuff pulled.
This is going great so far.
This is going hard.
I can see why we get so many 1-star reviews now.
Yeah, this is going terrible. Jay, what else is going on with the Knicks?
Not much is going on with the Knicks, but we do have a bunch of where are they nows.
Oh, okay. So okay. So he said that Fizdale has us doing all our finishes. He has us doing all the stuff with our footwork. We'll literally be there. This is from Ian Begley quote. I had the quote from Burke. We'll literally be there working on fundamentals for the first 45 minutes of the workout. We'll literally be there for almost an hour just focusing on layups, just focusing on getting our feet right and shots in the paint. In the middle, fundamentally sound things. And then we'll move on to concepts. He'll have us doing drills where the guy slides into the corner and I'm going to the baseline. I'm hitting him and I have to get back out into three-point territory. That guy at the top of the key, he has to do something and then we'll have to rotate, but it's fast. You have to use your mind mentally. You have to be locked in.
That sounds nothing like what the Knicks have done the last 5 years.
Well, isn't that amazing to hear that quote in the middle of the summer?
Yeah.
It has not the season. It's not like they're talking about training camp. They're talking about what Fizdale is doing with the players right now. He says we'll go from that, then we'll go into something defensive. Our defensive concepts are totally different than they were last year. So it's new to all of us, just learning to get on the same page defensively now because we weren't doing these things last year. Their system is different than what we saw 6-7 months ago. And then by the end of practice, Fizdale will probably have us do something competitive where it's like 2 dribbles, 1-on-1. It's like 2 dribbles, 1-on-1, or he'll have us do 1 dribble, 1-on-1. Guys are just out there lining each other up, and you really have to use the stuff we were just working on to get a good shot off. And everyone's getting evaluated, and that's the fun part. I love that. I'm a competitor. I'm ready to go.
Wow.
And this is not training camp. This is voluntary workouts where 6 or 7 guys on the team are there every day working out with Fizdale, or most days, I guess. I don't know if it's every day, but that's fantastic. And Fizdale's still planning on going to see Porzingis in his homeland. I love everything Fizdale's doing. Every quote I hear about Fizdale has been amazing. Just not forgetting basically what other players have said, just the Knicks players that have worked with him since he's been hired. They've all said amazing things about him.
Yeah.
And Enes Kanter claimed that he was so impressed by what Fizdale's doing that that's one of the reasons he chose to opt in.
Okay.
Yeah, the other reason being the $18 million he wasn't going to get anywhere else.
Yeah, we knew that. We knew that was going to happen.
But the big Knicks news as far as player signings, Kanter opted in, which Kanter would have to be insane not to opt in.
Yeah.
He basically teased Knicks fans till he wouldn't until he said I have till the 29th to decide, and I'm basically going to tease Knicks fans till then. Did you have any problem with him teasing Knicks fans?
He's kind of funny, but I would appreciate his humor more if he actually played defense.
Yeah, if he was a player if it was a guy we really liked, I'd feel much better about it.
Yeah, I mean,
but
yeah, I feel like if he would just even be a league average defender, he would be one of my favorite players.
His work in the paint is great. He's shooting threes now, which we'll see if it translates to games. But if he could cover 3-point shots, that'd be amazing also. But I just want him to be able to cover the rim. Kyle Quinn opted out, and we kind of expected that as well. Kyle Quinn's not coming back, right?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, he turned down $4 million from the Knicks. You would think he could get at least $4 million somewhere else. I would think a lot more.
There's been interest from Golden State. There's been interest from the 76ers. I think the Knicks could give him their mid-level exception or do something else Knicksian. It would be very old school Knicks to basically, or just stupid ass Knicks to sign Kyle Quinn right now. Whatever you think, and I know a lot of fans have called out hey, we should sign Kyle Quinn. No, we shouldn't. Kyle Quinn's fine. If Enes Kanter had opted out, that'd be one thing. But we have committed $36 million between Noah and Kanter. Plus, we just re-signed Luke Cornett. Plus, we just drafted a center in the second round, Mitchell Robinson. How many centers do you want on the roster?
Yeah, I would rather give Mitchell Robinson minutes, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, I think Mitchell Robinson, the deal with him, and I don't think we talked about him that much in the last show.
Actually, we ended the show before he was drafted, so we didn't talk about him at all.
So basically, he sounds like you got to take gambles in the draft. He sounds like a guy that has tremendous upside. You want to talk about the story about him?
You go ahead.
Do you not know the story about him?
I just don't want to steal a spotlight from you.
I mean, the basic story was he was a top 10 prospect coming out of high school. For whatever reason, he had an issue with him at his college and basically ended up sitting out and not playing this last year. There's something about maybe one of the coaches left or something, and he wanted to transfer. Whatever the issue, who cares what the issue was? He spent the last year, instead of going to Europe to play somewhere else, he spent the last year working out with a private coach and working on his game. But because he hasn't played competitive basketball in a year, or at least competitive basketball where we've all could see, he was downgraded in the draft. And the Knicks took a swing at him. He's a center. He's got a lot of potential. He could be very good, but we don't really know because he hasn't played since high school. He hasn't played in a year. So he looks like a guy that most likely the Knicks will play him in the G League for a good part of the beginning of the season, for at least for a while, because he needs to get back in rhythm. And you need to see how he plays against the G League before you're going to put him against NBA competition. But he looks like a guy that could be very good. Who knows? But you don't want to add. How many more centers do you want to add in the roster? You know what we are missing, Jay? Mm-hmm. Who's our power? Without Beasley signed, who's our power forward?
Tim Hardaway Jr. Luke Cornett.
There really isn't much of a power forward in the roster. It is kind of weird.
Kanter.
Yeah. So I saw an article that was talking about guys the Knicks could sign if they do not. They made an offer. They made an offer to Mario, a 1-year deal. Perry has come out and said that they do not want to sign a guy past. Mills and Perry have said they want only 1-year deals this summer, and they want to leave. They want as much cap space as possible for next summer.
Okay, I'm down with that.
They want to be able to sign a max player. I don't know what max player they're signing next year, but I'm fine with them leaving cap space to be able to sign a max player for next year. I think that'd be a good plan. I mean, is there anyone you want to sign right now to a multi-year deal and scoop our cap space?
No.
So anyway, the Mario's Orlando played him at the 4 a lot last year. He's kind of a 3 that's a stretch, kind of a small 4, if you will. He's not like a guy that's going to be banging down low. But if we sign Mario, that'd be great. But we have a weird 4 basically right now. Like, I don't want to bring Beasley back. I feel like Beasley. Do you want Beasley back?
I'd rather just go all young.
Yeah. So supposedly Isaiah Hicks is a 4. Supposedly they really want to bring back Hicks. Though I don't think Hicks is really going to be NBA material. I mean, who knows? I just wasn't overly impressed with him when we saw him last year. But I feel like Beasley's also a ball hog to a certain extent. You know, he passed. He wasn't a terrible passer, but like I feel like he kind of dominates the ball too much. Where like he's too much ISO Beasley when he's on the floor. Where I really want the offense to develop as more of a cohesive unit.
I just looked up a list of free agents for next year. I'm not impressed.
Well, do we have to even get depressed about next year? Oh, who's on there that you're not so excited about?
Everyone.
Who are the big names for next year?
Okay, here's some big.
I think Kyrie Irving, the one that like supposedly the Knicks are going to try to go after Kyrie Irving. Here, I have a question for you. If the Wizards said, "Hey, we regret the Wall contract and we want to rebuild," would you take the Wall contract?
No, definitely not. No.
Okay.
I mean,
keeping in mind that Wall, it would be the best point guard in the Knicks history on day one. Maybe not best in history, but the best point guard we've had in so long.
You know, actually, other than this year, he had 4 straight healthy years. I thought he was more injury prone. It was his first 3 years where he was, but he actually had 4 straight healthy years.
No, he's been good with it. He hasn't been injured, but how old is he now? 27?
He's about to turn 28.
Yeah.
So
his contract
by taking on this contract, you're talking about 4 years. It starts at 37.8 and it goes up to 46.9.
I just like Wall would be a great guy. I was just thinking about guys that like where a team might just say, "Screw it." I was thinking about if Paul George is also re-signed with Oklahoma. If Paul George had left, maybe Oklahoma says, "Let me get out of the Westbrook contract and just like redo things." The same idea. Like, would you take on Westbrook right now on his max deal, on his big deal?
That's the thing. Like, are these guys? These guys are both very good, but are they 40% of your entire cap good?
Well, you got to overpay to get a guy like this. I mean, if people talk about Kyrie, you're going to have to give Kyrie a max deal.
Yeah. I would rather... Okay, free agent for next year is Ricky Rubio. I'd rather do that.
Okay, well, no one's going to agree with you on that one. But if you had to pick, let's just say like you had to pick between Kyrie, Wall, and Westbrook, all on their max contracts.
Probably Wall. I think Wall.
Okay. I don't even know.
Because Kyrie, I think, is too injury prone. Westbrook seems... Well, Westbrook is staying in Oklahoma City. I don't even know.
Yeah, Paul George, I need to point that Paul George resigned there. He's staying. They're not moving on. I was just thinking about guys that, like... I thought Paul George might leave, and if he left, then maybe Oklahoma decides, like, we're not going anywhere now. Let's blow this up.
I almost thought George was going to leave strictly based on Melo opting in, but it looks like Wall's like, you know what, I'll just deal with this for one more year.
Yeah, I love that. And I love Melo who said it, like his problem was that last year he was too much of a spot up shooter, too much of like he needs to take more charge. He needs to be more Melo.
He basically said I need to shoot even more and pass even less.
Yeah.
Even though he averaged a career low in assists, which is low to begin with.
What if Oklahoma calls us up and goes, "Hey, Enes Kanter for Melo, straight up. We'll do it right now. You need a power forward. We need a big man back." Contracts are gone anyway after the year's over.
No.
Okay. If I was going to do that, I'd just take Beasley instead.
Can you imagine 3 years ago if we asked that question?
So Beasley, I feel like he dominates. I feel like one of the issues I've had, one of the issues Knicks have, is that when Melo was here, he would dominate the offense, and then when Melo did not play, the Knicks could not win a game without Melo. Right? You remember how like when Melo was off the floor, when Melo was injured or not playing, the Knicks record was atrocious.
Yeah.
And then last year, the Knicks, I mean, KP had started off great. He's kind of didn't have as great a finish before he got injured. But generally, the Knicks could win when KP played. Once KP was injured, when he was not playing, the Knicks could not figure out how to win games without KP.
True.
So I want the team to figure out how to win and how to score. I mean, obviously KP's out most of this season. I don't want some other guy who's going to dominate the ball, who's not going to be a part of our future. I'd rather just say, like, take the young guys and just see what happens. Let them figure out how to win games without KP. So when KP gets here and they figure out how to win games without him, the team will be even better for that reason.
Yep.
They won't just be relying. They won't just be relying to throwing the ball down low to KP, because they'll be like, hey, KP, we can really help you because we've all figured out how to win games without you. Or they'll have the number one pick in the draft and that guy will help out.
Yep.
But so guys, they're saying that instead of Beasley, they're saying Anthony Tolliver is the guy that the Knicks have been talking about. He not an amazing player, but a power forward. He shoots a lot of threes. They showed his shot chart basically is all threes and all in the paint, no long twos.
He's a guy that seems to be liked around the league. I mean, I don't get the point of bringing in a 32, 33-year-old. He just turned 33. Like, I don't see the point of bringing in a guy of that age onto this team if we're not even close to being competitive. You bring those guys in if you need, like, filler pieces to a playoff team.
Well, in theory, you do want some veterans here to, like, help the young guys. In theory, you also just need a power forward. Because literally the Knicks just don't have power forwards on the roster.
Right.
So if Beasley's not here, like, who do you have at power forward? Like,
I think you're probably playing Cantor
at your power forward. Who's your center? You're playing Cantor next to Noah.
Yeah.
Into like two of the four horsemen are our centers. We're not going to go with. They're not going to put a lineup out there of Cantor and Noah. That would be goddamn insane. I guess you put Cornette out there.
Oh no. Lance Thomas.
Yeah, no, I think Lance will get time at the four. Definitely think he's also offensively inept. I just think you might want a guy that a little bit like they say Tolliver is he's stretch four, plays defense, hustles. He's a Lance Thomas type. Description's not that different, but you want those kind of guys who are not going to necessarily hurt the young guys' development, but maybe help the development. And you just need power forwards on the roster.
The thing is, if they don't get a four, then they're pretty much playing Knox at the four. And maybe you don't want to put Knox at the four yet.
Yeah, you might want to like see what works best for Knox. Also, put him at the three, then maybe put him at the four. They said one of the things they said about Knox is that he might be a really good like small four, like a stretched four, but he may not be there just yet. Where he's going
isn't the problem that
to be able to do that on day one, and that's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie on day one to say you're starting at power forward.
But isn't the problem that if the Knicks sign
I do want him to start, but I would think starting him at the three might make more sense from day one.
Starting if the Knicks sign Robinson, that's you can't hear me. All right, it wouldn't be a typical episode if we didn't have internet outages and technical difficulties. Anyway, I was saying that the thing about Robinson is if the Knicks sign him, that's the 15th spot on the roster.
I mean, they have to sign him, which would be ridiculous if they didn't. Yeah, that's the one thing actually. They got to make roster space. They have a mid-level exception, the mid-room, whatever it is, for about $8 million, and they have another exception, a biannual one, which is $3-point-something million, and I could be mixing up which is which. But if you're going to use that at all, and they're bringing a power forward, that's the roster without Michael Beasley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have to...
That means they have to murder Moutier.
They got to get rid of... there are a lot of guys that you probably want to murder in this roster. By the way, someone pointed out that Ron Baker is making this year twice as much as Derrick Rose earned the last 2 years. By the way, they signed Luke Cornette for $1.6 million. Why did they give Ron Baker a 2-year, like $8 million deal? Like, at least it shows they've learned something. Like, they gave that deal to Ron Baker when no one else was making this offer. Luke Cornett, they're like, who's this? Not the same person, but the same basic type of player. And both are fringe players that could develop. And they were like, no, Cornett, you're not getting a Baker. We're not retarded. We're not doing that again.
Right. Same with Troy Williams.
Yeah, they gave him just normal contracts. There was Troy Williams. What's his deal? Or what's his? Did they have the rights to him? But
he's got 2 more years on. Oh no! Did he just get waived? Oh, he got waived, but we're paying
Troy Williams
him?
not been waived, has he? The end of the season, Jay.
Yeah, they must have waived him and then gave him a contract.
Yeah, they did at some point. But he's on the Knicks now.
Yeah, so they gave him.
You said they signed him to like some kind of
It's
2
2 years.
year.
2 years,
Yeah.
1.5 a year.
Yeah, so they got smarter. I mean, the Ron Baker contract is idiotic. But your basic point though is that the Knicks don't. They have to get rid of someone to make this roster work.
Yeah.
So who do you get rid of? They have to get rid of someone to add a power forward, basically. And it seems like the Knicks are confident they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just eat Troy Williams' contract.
No, why would you get rid of Troy Williams though? You want Troy Williams on the team. Like he has some potential. You wouldn't want to just get rid of him.
I mean, the guy I want on the team the least is Moutier.
Yeah, I know. Courtney Lee. You got to move on from Courtney Lee.
But then we go back to what you were saying. You need a vet on the team.
Yeah. No, I guess you also need a power forward. We need a guy to power forward on this roster. We need another one.
It's Lance time.
And supposedly the Knicks are interested in Hicks. They must feel like they're getting rid of someone from this roster. I think they must strongly feel like they're going to move on. Like Courtney Lee's making $12 million this year and $12 million next year. The Knicks want to move on from this contract. It's fair to say that. He also takes up playing time from like they have a lot of guards. You don't want to be giving Courtney Lee playing time.
I don't want to be giving Moutier playing time either.
Yeah, they're not going to get rid of Moutier, or at least it seems like they want to work. They want to see if Fizdale can develop Moutier. It seems like that's the impression I get. So they're
if
not
he
going to.
Can, then he truly is one of the greatest coaches of our generation.
Jay starts like Moutier has like 2 good games in a row, and Jay just starts erecting a statue. But you're right. Like looking at the roster, I mean, Baker really is a guy you'd also want to cut. Baker and Moutier, Lance they're going to keep because he plays power forward. Courtney Lee, you would want to move on from the contract. Do you think they're going to stretch Noah? I think you got to keep Noah at this point. And Noah, in forgetting everything that happened with Noah before, he is a vet that hustles. He played defense at some point when he was capable. He was a big guy you'd want his influence around the team, I would think.
Yeah.
Despite his issue with Hornacek, I feel like you kind of make amends with Noah and try to like get him back in the fold.
Sure.
You need centers on the roster also, right?
You do need players. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay. You don't want to discuss more Knicks? There's also there was big news in Knick land also.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks are they're for sale. You know that, Jay, right?
No, they're not for sale.
They might be for sale though.
Don't even tease me.
Supposedly, according to Deadspin, this report, other news outlets reported this also. The Knicks and the Rangers are being spun off from Madison Square Garden. The overall company, they're spinning off to a separate company, and the idea being is one company is going to be more entertainment. It's really hard to call the Knicks entertainment, but I guess one side is going to be sports, and the other side is going to be more musical, other types of entertainment. And everyone says that Dolan's real passion is really in the music world, and not really as into sports as we all think. We think he's as into the Knicks as we think he's been, and that he's doing this to eventually sell the Knicks and the Rangers. And MSG has also reported that this is completely untrue. They're not selling, but let's let this dream for a little bit.
The best part about this story is as soon as the story came out, MSG stock went up like $70 to $40, I think.
Yeah. I guess they're spinning off why did it shoot up $40?
Just the sheer excitement of him possibly selling the team made everyone want to buy in. Can you imagine being that hated where people think you might sell it and it makes the stock like explode?
Well, also what was I going to say? Also, if he sold the team, it would be they say it's the number one team in all of it at the NBA. He'd probably get a boatload of money, right?
Oh, absolutely. He would
So
get
that also is the reason that the stock probably surges.
what,
The fact
2,
that, like,
3 billion?
yeah, something insane he'd get. It would be the most. It's the most valuable franchise in all. I mean, the team has been horrible. It's the most valuable franchise in all of the NBA. Yeah. So do you know who's going to buy the team?
Well, our Patreon is not quite up to the amount we need. So
The joke is that that Dolan's going to sell. We're going to be all excited to find out he's selling the team to the Wilpons, the Mets owners, who are actually worse than Dolan. Dolan at least spends money. Wilpons act like the Mets are playing in Kansas City and we have no money to spend. So that would be an actual worse owner. But hopefully James Dolan will find some rich hedge fund guy who's made $1 trillion the last couple of years and will buy the team and treat them like his plaything. And basically, we just want some guy who will hire someone smart to run this stuff and just stay out of it.
Would anything be more Knicksian than Dolan finally selling the team and him selling it to a cheap owner?
Yeah, it was something would be worse. Like somehow it would get worse. He would somehow sell it to I don't know what would happen. Michael Jordan leaves Charlotte and becomes the owner of the Knicks and just destroys the team because of all his he's like I'm sure this guy will be good. Let's just trade Porzingis for whatever. But let's dream a little bit. You think things would get a lot better if Dolan sold the team?
I do.
I agree. Okay. What else do you want to talk about, Jay? Anything else, Knicks, before we move on to all that's going on in free agency? I know there's a ton going on in free agency.
Let's do free agency.
Okay. LeBron James on the Lakers. Do you want to talk about that?
Jumping right into it, huh?
Jumping right into it. It was announced right before our show started, just in time for the show. LeBron signed a 4-year, $157 million contract, or $154 million contract with the Lakers, and no one else has signed with the Lakers yet. So what do you think about this? This is a ballsy move on LeBron.
I am not only surprised that he signed with the Lakers before getting anybody else. I'm surprised he signed a 4-year contract.
Yeah,
He's been doing these 1-year things for years now.
Do you think there's any kind of opt-outs in there? I mean, they haven't.
I'm sure he's got some sort of clause in there, like a if you don't get Kawhi, I'm opting out clause.
It says here that according to Shams, whatever his name is, the reports James will have a player option in year 4, which will be when he's 2021 when he's 37 years old.
Great.
Yeah. Apparently Kobe already said, "I love it" in a text.
I mean, it's very interesting. They're not. I don't think they're that much better than what the Cavs are now. I mean, obviously that changes if they get Kawhi, but I don't think they're
not beating Golden State with this
no,
roster.
I don't see them being Golden State or Houston or.
No, they're third. I would say with LeBron, add LeBron to here. I'm sure they'll add other players, but they're probably third right now. But there's a gap right now. It's an interesting. I guess the
gap. I mean, it's like a cavern.
Well, I guess he was doing the 1-year deals with Cleveland. By the way, there was who is it? Ian Begley. Not Ian Begley. Who's the guy we always hate? Not Begley. The who's the one you that always
the guy who yells at us?
Yeah, direct message.
Oh, Isola.
Oh, he had a funny quote actually.
I don't hate him, but it is funny how he.
No, I don't hate him. I will listen to him on podcasts and all that. I just don't like his Twitter account. But he said it's the 4-year anniversary of LeBron saying, "I want to retire in Cleveland." But this is a ballsy move going to I guess the 1-year deals he wanted to make sure Cleveland was trying to make the roster, maximizing the roster. This move is saying to everyone, to free agents, I'm going to be in the Lakers for the rest of my career, basically, or close to the next 3 years, the next 3 to 4 years.
At least the rest of his peak years.
Yeah. He's not going to be a peak player at 37. So he's saying you guys should come commit here because I've committed to the Lakers.
Yeah.
Which is pretty.
Yeah, that's probably a good reason why he did it. He doesn't. He felt that if he did a bunch more 1 years that people wouldn't trust that he would stay and
Right.
commit to it.
If I'm gonna throw down with him, I want someone that's gonna be there. And it's different than the Cleveland, who didn't have a lot of cap space. The Lakers have a lot of cap space.
They do.
So right now the roster, I mean, they have a bunch of young players, but you don't know where this is gonna They have Lonzo, obviously.
Yeah, they got Ingram, Kuzma, Randall.
They got Isaiah Thomas, which
No,
is funny that LeBron didn't even want to play with Isaiah anymore, and now he's back on the team with him.
Is he? I thought he was a free agent.
Oh, is he a free agent?
Yeah. Isaiah is gonna get the vets minimum after thinking he was getting a max contract.
I mean, I kind of feel bad for him for that reason, but I forgot he was a free agent. I know I have the roster from last season opened up. I forgot he was gonna be a free agent, but they have. I guess Randall's a free agent also, but you. So what are they? So let me pull up the Lakers basketball reference here. What do you think they do? I guess the question really is, can they get Kawhi?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like LeBron must be confident that they can.
Yeah, I mean, or else why?
I mean, they could probably offer the best package. The thing
No,
is,
Philly could offer the best package, and Celtics could offer an amazing package also. Both teams have a lot of assets.
You also got to ask yourself, if the Lakers get Kawhi, are they going to have enough left to make that a team that could beat the Warriors anyway?
Well, in theory, the guys that are on the rookie deals don't have to. If they're not in the trade, they don't have to go either.
Huh?
LeVar Ball's on a good contract right now. You don't have to necessarily move on from LeVar Ball. Not LeVar Ball. I mean Lonzo Ball. Sorry. You don't have to move on from Lonzo. The guys that the big question is you can't bring in another max guy, a big money guy. But you have guys on rookie deals. That's advantageous for this kind of roster.
Yeah, but if you're getting Kawhi, you're probably losing Ingram, Kuzma, and maybe one other guy.
That is true.
So you're saying LeBron, Kawhi, maybe Ball, and filler. To me, that doesn't really get it done.
No, I mean it's a solid point. Okay, so I'm looking at the team going for next season. So right now you have Deng, who comes off Deng's here for 2 more years. That's brutal.
He's there, Noah.
Yeah, you wonder if they could find some way to
murder him.
Hey, Deng, do you want to go rock climbing with Noah?
A lot of murders going on in this offseason.
I mean, but you look at and Randall's obviously they haven't signed Randall yet. So right now they have committed prior to LeBron signing. LeBron's getting about $40 million, $38 million a year, and probably it's structured in a way to have it go up as it goes it's probably the lowest numbers probably this year for the cap space.
Right.
Well, let's say right now they have $39 million in cap space. Let's say his deal is 37th this year. So that's you're right. Between that, if you get Kawhi, and he's not a free agent. Yeah, he's gonna be free agent the following year.
Mm-hmm.
What's his contract for this year?
I think it's about 18.
Okay, so if you add, assuming you're right, I'm just gonna pretend you are. So that's about $84 million. You have enough space to bring in another guy, or you have enough space to bring back Randall if you want to, on a decent a $14 million deal. So what do you think the trade looks like for Kawhi? You're thinking there's a draft pick there's 1 or 2 draft picks involved.
Kawhi gets $20 million.
Okay, so you probably have about $10 million to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So Lonzo gets $7 million this year. Do you think they'd include Lonzo in the trade to get
I mean, I think you include anybody you need to.
Right.
The Spurs even want him though.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the top point guards coming out of college, and he's just 1 year into his career. And you think
you got to deal with all that garbage with his dad and his brothers.
I don't know.
I don't know if the Spurs even want to deal with that.
He could develop him and make him very good. You're right. Yes, you're right. You don't want to deal with the garbage that comes with him. But let's say you think. So what do you
I
think?
think you definitely at least lose Kuzma and Ingram.
Yeah, that
And
seemed.
maybe another future draft pick.
I mean, it's annoying because Kuzma's on a great deal, and
Mhm.
Ingram's deal's not that bad either. Well, Ingram's getting $5 million. Yeah, so you look at this team. Let's say they trade Kuzma, Ingram, and some draft picks, and they get Kawhi. But do you think San Antonio's going to do that also? Now that they know LeBron's on the Lakers, like, do you think San Antonio's going to be like, hey, we don't really want to compete anymore. Let's like take Kawhi.
I don't know. It's a really quick way to reboot.
If you're
I
San
mean,
Antonio.
that's not a bad haul.
Well, what if Philly offers you? I post this on Facebook. This was from where did I see this? I saw this on the Ringer's basketball podcast. Proposed this trade. Saric, Fultz, and Philly's also said Fultz is untouchable right now, but
I don't believe that at all.
I don't believe that. So Saric, Fultz, and who's your boy Covington,
Mm-hmm.
and the Miami 2021 draft pick. That's a pretty compelling offer if they made that for Kawhi. You get him out of the West, and you get 3 very good assets, plus the draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely got to think about that one.
That one. And Boston has a ton of draft picks. Boston could probably make a very compelling offer. Like, you would think basically Boston or Philly would make a better offer than what the Lakers could produce.
Yeah.
And then you have LeBron. And if he doesn't sign there, who do they get? They're interested in Aaron Gordon. And I can see Aaron Gordon being like, well, I'm in hell in Orlando, so sure, I'll go to LA.
Yeah,
But Aaron Gordon plus LeBron, let's just say
not exactly going to get the other teams worried.
Yeah, let's just say they do that. They do Aaron Gordon, LeBron, they bring in another decent free agent, and you have like they resign Randall, they have Ingram, they have. How soon is this team going to compete with Golden State?
They're not. They're not.
By the way, do you think anything about the? I guess Durant signed only a 2-year deal, or 1 year. He can opt out. He can free agent next year if he wants.
Right.
Do you think any chance that he's going to come to the? Supposedly, LeBron talked to Durant about joining the Lakers, and Durant just said no. But you think maybe Durant's like, I'll get one more title with Golden State, then I'll join the Lakers?
Nope.
No?
No, Durant is constantly saying he wants to be known as the best player in the league. And to do that, you're not going to join LeBron. Nobody's going to consider him the best player in the league if he plays on the same team as LeBron.
Are you surprised Paul George, who said he wanted to be on the Lakers, decided not to play with LeBron?
I am.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised. Because, they weren't that good. I mean, they got knocked out of the first round by Utah. Like, where are you going to get that much better this year?
I think they're thinking next year when they have $30 million of mellow cap space leaving.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's just like it's such a tough path in the West, and I'm surprised LeBron had a cakewalk in the East. By the way, now the East is Celtics, Philly, Toronto, maybe. I don't know. The East is wide open. The East is like the minor leagues now compared to the West.
Yeah. It's been that way for a decade.
Yeah, and that's like it's like you feel like it was a little more balanced when you had LeBron in that conference. But I'm very happy to see LeBron go to the West. Like,
yeah, it would be fun not seeing him in the finals for the first time in 9 years.
Yeah, but like he could have gone down with a legacy. He signs in the East. He could have had a legacy of going to the finals like 9 years in a row would be an NBA record. He could have gone to the finals like 11 straight years if he made the right move in the East. Yeah. Now he's a second round exit probably. Maybe Western Conference Finals.
Maybe first round exit if they don't get enough help.
Right, they need a lot of help.
Let's move on from LeBron. I don't want to talk about him anymore.
We're going to talk about LeBron. It's now the LeBron podcast. We're only going to talk about things about LeBron. Well, they supposedly, they said his son is in school in LA. He wants to be closer to his son. Like, he did it for family reasons as much as anything, and he also wants his entertainment career to take off. So at least he did it. At least he just got it out of the way and didn't make anyone wait. This was the least jackass version of LeBron signing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It came out of nowhere. No hype at all. It was nice.
I mean, not the Cleveland one was that bad coming back, but like this is just like okay. I'm just gonna tell everyone and just get it over with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else do you want to talk about in free agency? You want to go over what else happened?
Yeah. Let's take a quick break first.
Okay.
And we'll be right back. All right, we are back. And
I didn't feel like that was Jay. I didn't feel like that was a real break. I've just been. It's been like a half a second, Jay. What are you talking about?
The magic of editing. I should also say this show is brought to you by Old Faithful Bar in Perth, Australia.
I'm sorry. What?
Old Faithful Bar in Perth, Australia. They made a very generous donation to the show because we were talking about getting a new equipment. And
awesome.
And so thank you so much. And if you live anywhere near Perth, check it out. Rob is one of the owners there, and he's a great guy. So tell him hi if you go there.
We have a lot of fans in Australia, and I have heard Perth is. I'm not not making this up. I've heard Perth is actually a really awesome place to visit. I've been to Australia. It's not Perth. But I've heard it's awesome, and you guys should go to the bar. Everyone should go to the bar, and so what else is going on, Jay?
Yeah, so we are trying to get some new equipment. So if you want to help, there you can go to the NewYorkKnicksPodcast.com. There's a donate button there, or you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/NYKnicksPodcast. Help support the show. You could also pick up some shirts on the NewYorkKnicksPodcast.com. And let's our contact information, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. NYKnicks Podcast on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And I feel like I'm missing something here.
By the way, I just saw this is on RealGM.com. Chris Bosh still seeking the NBA return. Could join the Lakers.
That's another guy I feel bad for. So if you want to leave a voicemail, 631-676-1181.
Okay.
All right. So that is all that stuff. Where are they now?
Okay. Do you want to talk about all the other free agent signings, or just do the weird? Where are they now? Go.
Where are they now is the free agents I'm doing.
Okay.
Doug McDermott is signing with the Pacers.
3 years, $22 million, was it?
Yeah, it seems like a lot.
And I saw it. I didn't realize he'd shot 50% from three with Dallas. But watching him for about a half a season on the Knicks, I have to say he is not worth that money whatsoever. No. And if the Pacers had just waited longer, they could have gotten him on a 1-year deal for $7 million. No problem. I don't think there was going to be a lot of demand for Doug McDermott.
No.
He's a guy, I know he's his stats show that he's a good 3-point shooter. I'm not saying he's a bad 3-point shooter. It just seemed like, at least on the Knicks, and his percentage was good, but watching the games, he would disappear for very long stretches on offense. He'd play 25 minutes, and he made 1 3, but he was 1 for 3, or he was 2. It's very rare to even saw him hit 2 3-pointers in the game. He's his 3-point percentage looked good, but he didn't provide a lot of offense for the amount of time he was on the court. He didn't do a lot. He hustles, but his defense is pretty bad. I think he's I just don't think I am. You look at the stats, you think he's good. I watched him on the court. I was very unimpressed by him. I did like seeing Kyle Quinn, his passes to Doug McDermott. Those were great, but I would be appalled if the Knicks made this signing.
Well, the good thing about this offseason so far is that we can laugh at other teams' mistakes instead of the Knicks, because the Knicks haven't done anything embarrassing.
I think Indiana's going to be wow, this guy's not. He's borderline. He's a bench piece at most, and he's not the most playable guy when things matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are they now? Derrick Rose is signing a 1-year deal with the Timberwolves
for the league minimum, which is basically the only team that's going to be interested in was going to be a team coached by Tibbs. So hopefully that works out for him in Minnesota.
Where are they now? Trevor Ariza leaving Houston, which I think is an underrated signing because I think Houston's really going to miss him.
I mean, you want to add Chris Paul re-up there, and they had issue giving him the 5-year deal, and I guess they settled on a 4-year, $160 million deal for him. But losing Ariza is pretty big for them.
I think that's huge. I think they're really, really going to regret not doing everything they can to keep him.
Yeah, and it's surprising also he went to Phoenix. Because, Houston, competing in the West, have a shot at going to the finals next year. Why do you think he went to Phoenix? Like, I know Phoenix is trying to. I like what they did in the draft. They're trying to kind of. Phoenix is trying to like. They've been trying to develop a team, and now they're trying to like kickstart things and get things moving forward. They got the number 1 pick of the draft with Ayton. They traded for Bridges. Obviously, you have Booker, and you like the Ariza signing, but how good is Phoenix going to be? They're not close to a playoff team yet.
No, they're not. But I don't know. I'm glad because I don't like the Rockets. But yeah, it was kind of interesting.
I mean, you don't know how good Ayton will be yet. You don't know how good Bridges will be. But you like what Phoenix is doing, that they're kind of like, let's get really good. I'm just surprised Ariza was like, hey, I don't want to play with Chris Paul and James Harden anymore.
Yeah, it was interesting. Maybe he wanted a bigger role and he would get it in Phoenix.
Yeah, maybe bigger role. Maybe he felt like he wasn't going to get that much money from. Maybe he's going to get better money from. But didn't he sign like a 1-year deal with Phoenix, or is it a 2-year deal?
I believe it was a 1-year deal.
Yeah, so it's not like he got like more secure. It's not like he could have got. It doesn't sound like he got anything he wouldn't have gotten from Houston anyway.
Well, 1 year, $15 million. I don't think.
He got $15 million.
Yeah, I don't think he would have got any of that in Phoenix.
Never mind. I understand why Ariza did that.
Yeah, it's making.
Sorry,
more sense
some reason I thought the deal was much lower, but yeah, he wasn't getting that money from Houston. It's weird, also. Like, it's not that I need LeBron to like beat Golden State, or not that I need Houston to beat Golden State. But it would be nice if these teams that are trying to compete with Golden State, Golden State should be stuck with a bad contract. These teams are like, Houston has $20 million for what's his name, Ryan Anderson. The Lakers have $18 million for Luol Deng. Golden State does not have a bad contract.
Well, that's why they keep winning. I mean, you got to have a smart front office. These contracts can cripple your team for a long, long time.
I know. With the fact that guys are signing these huge deals, like a 4-year, $160 million deal, I think the NBA urgently needs to go back to having an amnesty. Like every 4 years, you should get one amnesty. Where, if people remember what it was last time they had the collective bargaining agreement, maybe 2 times ago, they had an amnesty which said you basically cut one player. You still have to pay him all his money, but that player's salary would not count against the cap. So the team would be not, because the cap basically kind of prevents you from spending money, and that way the team could go back and find someone else and correct their past mistake. And I feel like if you don't do that again, there's so many teams that are going to be uncompetitive for so long. Like Houston, let's say Chris Paul has an injury next year and he can't really play anymore. And Houston's like, well, now we can't compete for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Or like the Wizards.
They're just
done. Or the Wizards are like, hey, Wall's going to be, his injury's a lot worse. We can't compete anymore for the next 4 years. Like, you can't have teams just saying we signed a bad contract and we're done for the next 4 years. And you really, like, you pay a guy $40 million and that guy can't contribute. Your team is completely screwed for that whole contract. And it makes the NBA worse.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the Knicks I would love to be able to, like, get rid of Noah's contract and just, like, move on from that. But the NBA would be so much better if they did the amnesty again. They need to find some way to get balance back, because it's unfair that Golden State could spend so much more money than everyone else. It doesn't have a bad contract.
Yeah. The only other where are they now is Brandon Jennings.
He signed with.
Well, the Bucks did not waive him, so he has $2.2 million guaranteed.
Okay. There were a bunch of other signings today.
Yeah. There was. I thought Ariza was the biggest one, but the Bucks took Ilyasova, 3 years, $21 million, which is very risky considering his injury history.
Yeah.
Bellinelli is going back to the Spurs, and Rudy Gay is too.
Well, I thought that was interesting, the Bellinelli. I mean, I guess like Philly said they want to sign a big name free agent, so they weren't going to spend the money to bring back Bellinelli. But I thought Bellinelli was really good in the playoffs for Philly. And I think they're really going to miss him next year.
Well, Ilyasova was good for them, too.
Yeah, no, that's true, too. I mean, like, I guess they're both really good. And now, like, I don't think Philly's quite as good without those two players. And I don't think they don't bring in some big name to, like...
Well, I think that's the idea. I think they're not signing these guys so that they can bring in a big name.
Who do you think they're going to bring in, though? If you don't get Kawhi, who do they get? There's not a lot of other great names.
No, they better pray they get Kawhi.
Yeah. What else is going? What else? There was a big trade. Gortat. not a big trade, but Gortat got traded to Dallas. Was it Dallas? Not Dallas.
No.
No, the Clippers. And the Clippers sent back over. Who they sent over?
The Clippers sent over.
Killing me. But the whole point of it is that they've Lob City's just, and not that it wasn't over anyway, but like Clippers, everything they built there is now gone.
Austin Rivers.
Oh yeah, Doc traded away his son, which is like.
Well, the new management did.
Yeah.
Doc does not have rights to make these decisions anymore.
Which is smart. You shouldn't have your coach and GM being the same person.
Yeah.
But the bigger news there, 1 year deal at Dallas. I am just retarded today. DeAndre Jordan. This is like every show, by the way. If you're a new listener, this is every show. I can't remember anything. But DeAndre Jordan, after going to Dallas and then like reneging on his acceptance of an offer there, he's finally actually going to Dallas. Do you like what Dallas?
Actually, well, so far.
It's
a verbal agreement. He hasn't signed the paper yet, and with DeAndre Jordan, let's play.
Until he shows up in training camp in their uniform.
Yeah, exactly.
Like game 1 of the season, like they're calling the starting lineups. He's like, guys, I don't think I actually signed. I'm going to be on the Clippers. I'll see you guys later. But what do you think of what they've got there now? You got DeAndre Jordan at center. You got Doncic, who you were so high on, right, Jay?
Yeah.
You think so? Early rookie of the year, you feel like is he your call for rookie of the year?
Yeah.
Okay. So you think he's going to be borderline all-star in his first year?
Yeah.
Okay, they got Doncic, they got Dennis Smith Jr., you got Harrison Barnes. How competitive is Dallas? And by the way, Dirk re-signed there for like $5 million. He's happy to come off the bench, and he can come off the bench for the next 3 or 4 years. If he's up for being more of a role player. That's great.
Fringe playoff team.
The West is going to be really interesting next year.
Yeah,
you have a lot of teams that are like trying to like really try to make their surge, get into the playoffs. Who falls out though?
I know, and Memphis is getting Gasol and Conley back.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't see how they're going to really compete.
I mean, those two alone will get you some wins. They might be a fringe 8th seed.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But let's just look when obviously we don't know what else is going to happen yet. But just like you're assuming basically, so Houston is going to remain in the playoffs, right? Like 8 teams are going to go to the playoffs. Golden State obviously going to be in the playoffs. But then from there, like is Portland, who's the 3rd seed, are they definitely going back? They haven't changed the roster that much right now.
Yeah, they seem like a good regular season team.
Okay, but you think they'll okay, so that's 3. Oklahoma? They were 4 seed.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to get really hard though. Utah? They look, I mean, Donovan Mitchell, like they got better.
Yeah, Utah's making the playoffs.
Okay, that's 5 teams right there. New Orleans? They're healthy again. They figured it out. They seem to really figured everything out after the Cousins went down. And Cousins probably will not be back.
Yeah, you got to think that probably Anthony Davis is that good.
Okay, well, this gets really hard then. San Antonio?
Yep.
Okay, Jay. Minnesota, Jay, you can't keep saying yep because the Lakers are going to the playoffs.
Well, what are you up to?
The Lakers, 8. That's 8. Minnesota will be the 8th team. That's 8 teams that should, like, you. And I understand, like, you thinking they should all go to the playoffs. The Lakers are going to the playoffs next year. LeBron's not missing the playoffs. So he is going to go in there, and one of these teams that we just talked about is not making the playoffs.
Jesus.
That is really, and I don't know, maybe San Antonio falls out of the playoffs. They trade Kawhi, but they didn't have Kawhi last year, and they won 47 games.
Yeah, no, I don't think San Antonio falls out. I would put more money on like the Pelicans or maybe even the Blazers.
OKC maybe falls out. And Dallas, it's also you're playing the West a lot. Dallas just got better. Dallas is not a doormat anymore. Dallas probably can win. I mean, if Doncic is as good as you think, and I don't know if he will be, you're thinking a team that's going to be borderline 40 wins.
Yeah.
Denver hasn't hasn't gotten worse, but they're just not gotten that much better either. It should be pretty interesting to see who falls out. I mean, I would have to see who Lakers obviously are in. I guess of the other teams, Clippers are not going to be in. Denver's probably not going in. Sacramento, Memphis is not making the playoffs.
No, probably not.
Yeah. So, and Phoenix, unless Ayton becomes like Baby Shaq, they're probably not going either.
Agreed.
So really, it's really the Lakers. I mean, I guess obviously you have no idea what's going to happen next year, but and who'll be injured. But the Lakers, one of these teams, at least those 8 playoff teams, is 100% falling out.
Crazy.
Let's
do some
the
questions. I don't
Yeah.
think we got any emails, did we?
I do not think we got any emails. I think you're right. Let me pull up the questions real quick. I had the questions set up, but Facebook.
Also, if you're a new listener, we have a Facebook page. There's a question of the day every day. There's also a thread to ask questions for the show, so you can do that.
Yeah. Maybe we'll talk some LeBron maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Okay, Joe writes, in 2019, is Kyrie a fit for us?
I think Kyrie's a fit for anybody if he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, someone responded. Devin wrote, "You can't even ask that until you watch Frank develop this year. It's unfathomable." By the way, people have said they've watched Frank been practicing, and they say, and Frank claimed he said in a French podcast that he hit a rookie wall, and it was so much to learn and catch up on. You also had Hornacek not developing him, and now you feel like you have a coach that will develop him. But they said watching him in the offseason, he said looks like a different player. He looks a lot better. Whether that'll translate to the regular season, but be prepared for Frank to look better next year.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. But anyway, even if Frank ends up being really good, you can play Kyrie next to him.
Yeah,
you can make that work. I don't know. You got to roll the dice. If Kyrie wants to come here, and Knicks don't have to trade for him, then
no, that would be excellent. Especially if it ends up significantly weakening Philly in the process.
So you know what we always talk about the Knicks having given up their roster to get Carmelo, and they could have just waited for Carmelo to sign there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard in different shows they're talking about. I think it might have been one of the ESPN podcasts talking about the fact that the Lakers could have had Paul George, but they decided instead of trading for him, they decided to wait for him because I guess they could have made the trade for him last year in the offseason before Indiana made the trade. And they decided instead to wait for him when he becomes a free agent, and now he hasn't signed there. There is the reverse side of if you wait for a guy, maybe he doesn't come.
There is a risk, but I really don't think there was any chance Melo was going anywhere else.
Well, and not even to rehash too much of this, the Nets were looking to get him also. So maybe
he was going to the Nets.
Maybe the Knicks thought they thought the Nets were going to trade for him because the Nets were trying to remember the trade. That's right afterwards traded for.
Yeah, let them trade for him. Then he's a free agent.
Yeah, but then maybe he's I'm playing in Brooklyn. This is good enough.
I really don't think so.
And
know what? If that happened, good.
Well, obviously,
didn't really work out, did it?
2020 hindsight, that would have been wonderful for the Nets to trade for him. But anyway, if Kyrie, the injury stuff would be concerned me. But you know what? Also, in 2019, he'll have played another full year. If Kyrie is healthy all the season or mostly healthy, I'm fine. Maybe we'll just go for it. If he's injured all the season, we'll know not to sign him.
Yeah, it's perfect. You get another team to test drive him.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you believe the rumors that he's all about signing with the Knicks?
No. I feel like every significant free agent says they're all about signing with the Knicks, and then none of them do.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if he did sign here. You'd have KP, you'd have Kyrie. Suppose if Knox is good, if there's something going on here.
Yeah.
Gilliam writes, I didn't quite understand why especially Mark was so upset last episode with Knox. That's why I think you should actually that's why I think you should actually like it. If Porter was passed by so many teams until Denver, who are like a playoff team already, so can take more risks. It's because all of them thought his medical was a red flag. He may even sit out all next season. When you said the player who scares me the most is, I was convinced you'd say Porter. Instead, you said Knox. I have to say, there's more of the Gilliam's thing here, but I think I just talked myself into Porter before the draft also. To the extent I was like, I liked the idea that he was a home run guy. I didn't even care if he was injured all year because in the long run, he'd end up being, it was like taking a move that Philly's been taking. Philly knew the injury history with Embiid and said, whatever, we know in the long run this guy's going to be a great player, so it's worth suffering through his injuries so we get the great player.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fair point. Like all the teams passing on him, but there are a lot of players that a lot of teams have passed on and end up being really good. So who the hell knows? The back thing is scary though, right?
Very.
I just didn't like what I heard about Knox in the sense of like everyone talked about his potential, but him not having the and his stats were fine. And his stats were fine in Kentucky, but everyone said like he would just disappear during parts of games, and they felt his game was very lacking from what he could be doing. But the dude's 18, and like we shouldn't expect a finished product after your freshman year of college. So Knicks develop him, he could be really good, and you want a high potential guy. So I am all about Knox now. Gilliam goes on to say, from this point, you said you want to swing for the fences. In that case, it seems to be Knox and the two bridges. Knox is longer and younger, and that's two big ingredients in potential. I think the younger thing's overrated, but do you think younger is overrated when they talk about a guy being younger?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about a year, then yes.
I mean, I guess Mikal is like 2 or 3 years older. But I always feel like the guy, they want to pretend, everyone wants to pretend like the guy's 18 instead of 19. That means, oh my God, he'll develop so much in that year. Like, Mikal was I mean, you don't know if Knox will be as good as Bridges is when he's Bridges' age.
Right.
It's all about potential, I guess. But you said he didn't perform last season, but he played with two bigs who couldn't shoot. He was the main scoring guy. As the season progressed, Gilgeous Alexander became more important being a creator and so on, but he can't shoot either. In the NBA, this will be very different.
Okay, you win, Gilliam. You win.
No, this goes on for a while. Also, he's saying it's going to be very different because there's a lot of guys. He played with two bigs who couldn't shoot. Noah, Cantor. He played with Cantor could shoot, I guess. He played with basically. If you're saying the issue was there are a bunch of guys, he needed to be the scorer, and a bunch of guys around him couldn't shoot. Have you looked at the Knicks roster? I mean, the Knicks aren't like. Do we have a lot of guys that are going to be high efficiency players?
No.
So, but going forward, yes. Okay. One of the main things was said he surprised during workouts was his ball handling. He didn't do much in Kentucky. Apparently, Calipari makes his players fill a very defined role. That reminds me of Devin Booker. Was a bench player there, one of the younger in the draft, surprised as a very good pick and roll ball handler. Not saying Knox will be as good, but we've seen before a similar case. I think that's fair. I mean, he's got a lot of potential, and there's a lot of. They said his handle was a lot better in the workouts than they'd seen in college.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly. By the way, obviously Gilliam wins. Lastly, fit is very important. If a player is a fit, will naturally have minutes. Knox being a 3-4 is perfect with Frank being a 1-2, almost 3. KP is a 4-5, gives more height relative with position and length, and keeps all options open for future additions. Hope you feel more optimistic. Edit, one more thing. You really want to go for the kill here. I thought the draft went almost perfect for the Knicks as none of the teams above drafted players who they were looking at. So nobody made the choice for them. Considering that, I have confidence in their selection. I know I was a little bit down in the pick, and I'm totally fine with it now, and I'm excited for him. What was your take? You didn't give as much of your take to the take in the show because I was obviously finding out about it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't as upset as you. I would have rathered a Porter at the time. I honestly, other than what I heard about this workout, which, whatever, I hadn't heard too much about Knox, so I didn't really have much of an opinion. I guess that's why I didn't really give one, because I didn't really have much of an opinion on him.
Also, I heard Mills in an interview who claimed that he even said the workout was great, but they didn't put that much weight into the workout. They just felt like he was everything. They also just like talking to him. He seemed like a guy that really wanted to get better. They said they didn't take the weight. It wasn't like we saw the workout and we were just completely convinced by that. There was a lot more that went into it. And they called Calipari and they got his view on everything. it wasn't like they just saw a workout and obviously we're like, okay, we're drafting him. I just feel like there's sometimes a guy has a great workout and another guy has an off day there, and you put too much weight into this guy. He's had a great workout, but that's it.
Right.
Anyway, but I'm excited for it. LeBron. Rob writes, assume LeBron goes to L.A. or Houston. He went to L.A. The Knicks tank again next season and get a top 3 pick. KP comes back healthy. Our rookies develop into at least solid role players. And then in 2019, we waive Stretch Noah and sign Kyrie in free agency. Would KP, Kyrie, Hardaway, a young core of Frank, Knox, Dotson, Robinson, and the 2019 pick make us a contender in the East going forward? Or would we still need more to compete with teams like Boston and Philly?
Probably need more, but if you can get rid of Hardaway and replace him with somebody better, then we're talking.
Well, we're not going to get rid of Hardaway. You have the contract. No one's taking him. You don't think he's that good. No one else is going to be like, we'll make sure you get someone better.
You never know.
There's not another Knicks to trade with. We're stuck. We are the lowest common denominator here. It all comes down to the last guys they list: Frank, Knox, Dotson, and Robinson. Like, if those guys end up all being really good, then we're contenders. If they're not, then we're not
buckle
contenders. Up. Yeah, I mean, like, just adding KP, Kyrie, and Hardaway we're not contenders there. I mean, no. KP's really good, and Kyrie's really good, and Hardaway's
in the NBA.
But you need a lot more to be a really good team and have a shot in the East. Even though the East is not nearly as strong. I mean, Boston is really, really good. Philly is really good. Those 4 guys, the guys you draft, have to be really. Frank has to step up. Dotson hopefully end up being pretty good. Hopefully Robinson we hit a home run with, and hopefully Knox ends up being really good. If Knox ends up being Tatum, then hey, we have a shot.
Yeah.
Gillian writes, now that Dolan seems to let the basketball guys make decisions, have patience, build a project, etc., how do you feel about the possibility of him selling the team? This may sound almost stupid, but wouldn't you prefer Dolan, who has no hesitation to spend if he really doesn't make any decision? A new guy would probably want to put his guys in the front office, make a big splash, think Prokhorov, to start it all over again. Would you want the Knicks sold to Trump if it meant he leaves? Would you want the Knicks sold to Trump if it meant he leaves the White House? But I shared this on the Facebook page. I sent this to Jay also. There's basically WFAN, couple of the radio hosts. They released their reaction. It was 5-year anniversary of the Celtics-Nets trade, and one of the hosts is a huge Nets fan, and they released their reaction to the Celtics-Nets trade at the time, and it is you should find it on our Facebook page. It is goddamn hilarious for how unbelievable. And these guys I love that they still love their show and they're right about a lot of things. But how unbelievably wrong they're about this. How they were saying like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever for the Nets, and those draft picks won't even be good draft picks, and the Celtics almost got ripped off. And basically one of the more lopsided trades in NBA history.
My favorite line was, I wish every owner in the NBA was Prokhorov.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, Gilliam makes a good point in the sense of like, Dolan the Wilpons, the Mets, Wilpons don't spend money. It's brutal. At least Dolan spends money and just says, and now that he looks like, in theory, if he's letting Millis and Perry do whatever they want, what else do you want from an owner? Spend the money and stay out of the way.
Yeah.
And he's been a good owner for the Rangers. No one complains about him for the Rangers.
True.
He just stays out of the way. So, with that being said, will it make, like, would you want Trump? Let's say Trump leaves the White House, Jay. Would you want Trump buying the Knicks?
Is he willing to spend?
Yeah, it's Donald Trump. He's willing to spend, but he's willing to spend stupidly also.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I want, is a guy who butts out and is willing to spend.
Dolan, you have that. You have Dolan. Well, I mean, in theory, he's butting out now.
We don't know if he's, if he really is butting out, that's fine. But I feel like he's got such a bad reputation, though.
Are you convinced that he interfered in Phil Jackson's era and regime? I have
no idea. I have no idea. I have a feeling he admitted to interfering a lot before Phil Jackson.
Yeah, no one questions that he interfered prior to this. I'm just saying I felt it with Phil Jackson. One of the reasons I was excited because I felt like he was going to hand the reins over to Phil Jackson. Like he's done with the Rangers. He doesn't interfere with the Rangers. They've had some success under him because he just doesn't interfere.
Yeah.
He gets good people, and that's it. And you felt like that's what he was doing with Phil Jackson. I don't think any move Phil Jackson made was because James Dolan told him to.
No, I think Phil Jackson was an idiot.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Whatever. I think the first decision he ever made was firing Phil Jackson. He hired him and then he fired him. Those are the two ways he interfered.
Yeah.
So if he's giving, I don't know what you think of. Do you think Mills and Perry are going to be the guys? But if he's like, hey, Mills and Perry, do what you think is best, and I'm going to stand away, and I'll pay whatever luxury tax you want to you get here. Then what's the problem?
I'm marking this day on the calendar. The day
Mark
defends Dolan for a 10-minute bit.
You know, the only reason I defend him is because I am a diehard Met fan and living with. I mean, it's so much worse if an owner doesn't spend money.
Yeah.
There's also a story of Trump in the. Do you remember he had his own football league?
Yeah.
And he gave who was it? Doug Flutie at the time. Everyone said he was undersized. And he gave a huge contract to Doug Flutie, and everyone was like, that was an idiotic. It was a stupid contract, and it turned out to be a very stupid contract.
Hey, he had his own cereal. How many players have done that?
Yeah. He had a decent career, actually, in the NFL later on. But Gilliam writes, Gilliam's giving all our questions this week. As some kind of early take, and as the Knicks seem focused on 2019 free agency, who would you like them the most to sign between 4 stars we now know for now will be free agents in 2019? Kyrie, Clay, Kawhi, Butler.
Who was the fourth one?
Jimmy Butler. By the way, you're saying you're not impressed with the free agents. That's a pretty solid list of free agents right there.
I would say Clay.
I think he's guaranteed to stay with Golden State. But
I don't know. Rumors are he wants to prove he can lead his own team.
Is that insider information you have there, Jay?
It is. See? So don't give us 1-star reviews. Thank you.
Well, if Kawhi looks as good as he's looked in the past, then I would take Kawhi. I think he'd be number one. Obviously, this year you want to see what happens with Kawhi. If he comes back with his injury, he's fully healthy, and he's becomes a good team. I don't know what the hell happened in San Antonio. But then again, if that happens in San Antonio, then it'll probably be a nightmare of the Knicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess of these guys, obviously Clay would be the one I'd go with also. But I'd be very happy. Would you be very happy with any of these 4 guys on the Knicks?
Yeah, I would just be very nervous about Kyrie's injury history.
But assuming he has a healthy season.
Yes.
Assuming they're all 4 of them have healthy seasons, would you be ecstatic if the Knicks sign any of these guys to a max deal?
Still, Kyrie, I don't know. His defense worries me too.
Okay. Julian writes, following the rumors, Amir Johnson and Mario
Hezonja.
For now, I'm just not going to say the last name. I'm going to wait for you to jump in. Pros and cons about how much it will cost us. Oh, the Knicks also a rumor about Amir Johnson. P.S. Oladipo alert. Mario Hezonja. Maybe if we get this equipment, we can do a drop where I don't have to even say the last name anymore. Oladipo alert. He plays for Orlando. Considering the past few examples of Orlando former players, guys leave Orlando and they get a lot better because Orlando's not know how to develop players. What do you think about the Knicks signing Mario?
Sure, take a chance on him.
Yeah, I mean he started looking pretty good during the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think his defense is probably pretty questionable, and he's whatever. Amir Johnson would be a solid guy. He's a little older though, right? He's only 32, so he probably wouldn't make as much sense. But the Knicks need a power forward. Get a power forward. You do agree? Whatever Courtney Lee brings, having a guy that plays power forward and is 33 years old would just be helpful.
Yeah, it couldn't hurt. I mean, it's something we need.
George writes, free agent action will be George writes, free agent action who will pull the trigger on a deal. Gilliam writes, what are your predictions for the Knicks free agency? How many new guys? Anybody beyond 2019? Biggest contract to be signed? Lee traded. You know what? We always talk about there being lots of turnover. There may not be that much turnover the Knicks this year.
No, I think it's going to be a very similar team.
Yeah, I mean, who's changing?
Yeah, there's going to be 1 or 2 differences. That's it.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very similar team because they probably because what you said basically the guys they draft, but outside the guys they drafted, they don't have a lot of room on the roster unless they make a big move.
Yeah.
I have to think. So, do you think Courtney Lee's going to be traded? Like he's probably the most of the guys they can trade. Like Moutier has no value. No one gives anything to Moutier. Courtney Lee, in theory, has some value.
Yeah.
What do you think we get for Courtney Lee? I guess. Do you think we get? Sorry. Do you think we could trade Courtney Lee and get his money off of his roster spot open?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a team that thinks they're like one piece away, or they just need some help at that position or something like that.
You think so though? Like, because a lot of teams don't have cap space right now.
Everyone has a contract they want to dump.
But we can't take back a contract. The whole point of Courtney Lee is we don't want to take back a contract.
Well, what if Kawhi leaves and the Spurs think they're better off with Courtney Lee instead of Rudy Gay?
Wait, the Spurs just signed Rudy Gay. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I think they're going.
The Spurs decided to build their roster around Courtney Lee and Rudy Gay.
No. What if they think that they signed Rudy Gay thinking Kawhi's going to stay, and then Kawhi leaves, and then they're like, well, we don't need Rudy Gay.
Well, they already know that Kawhi is leaving, and they just signed Rudy Gay, so they probably know. They know he's leaving. I guess also hopefully they can do something where they trade two players and get one player back and somehow move on from a contract. Biggest contract to be signed. Is there any? I guess they could give an $8 million deal. It'll probably be one of these power forwards, maybe.
They're going to make very small moves. This isn't going to be an exciting offseason for the Knicks.
In some ways, it's an exciting offseason, though. The Knicks not doing anything dumb for a whole offseason.
I mean, it'll be a new record, yeah. I mean, I like that.
We didn't even mention just want to mention the Summer League roster. Have you looked at the Summer League? Summer League starts next Saturday.
Okay.
And the roster is just all the young guys you want to see play.
Excellent.
The roster includes Damian Dotson, Isaiah Hicks, Kevin Knox, Luke Cornett, Frank Ntilikina, and Mitchell Robinson.
Nice.
And Alonzo Trier, the guy they signed to a two-way contract from the draft. He was an undrafted free agent who they signed to a two-way contract. So it's pretty much all the guys you want to see get lots of playing time in the regular season are on this roster, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, who's missing? I mean, outside of like Trey Burke.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I am super excited to see these guys play in Summer League. I mean, hopefully, this is my first chance to watch Knox and the first chance to watch Steven in Knicks uniform. Hopefully it looks good.
Is that it for questions?
We have 2 more questions. Sorry, we actually have 30 more questions. Jay. I'm never gonna let you go to sleep.
There's no air conditioner in this room. Just letting you know. So.
Okay. Well,
I know you're cool because you have air conditioner in your room. So, but I don't.
Yeah, no, we have central air here. Is that? Julian writes. Also, Lee on the trade block. What would realistically get for him? Maybe a second-round pick. Maybe some way we can combine him and the roster spot. Well, the Knicks, you can have 17 roster spots, right? But only 15.
15.
17 includes the two-way players, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't they increase the roster spots?
Yeah, it used to be 13.
Yeah, maybe it's 13, and then you can carry.
No, I know it's 15 now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We're not an uninformed show. We just know nothing.
Well, yeah, I answered your question.
Nick writes, "Will Dolan sell the team?" Yeah, we kind of are maxed out with roster spots.
Yeah, we covered that on hour 1 of the show.
Okay, fine. That's all. What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that free agency has begun and the Knicks have not embarrassed themselves.
So basically, to look at the roster spot thing, teams can control up to 17 players. Teams will still be allowed to have dress 13 active players, but it'll still be allowed to have basically 2 guys on these two-way contracts, and then 2 other guys basically will be inactive players for games.
Mm-hmm.
So you can control 17 players. I knew there was something that was more than just 15. Not that they're gonna. Not that I don't know how they even make that work anyway. Because you really have 15 guys. There's I guess unless you put Mitchell Robinson on like a two-way contract, maybe it's rookie. I don't. They have some work to do to get another roster spot open. Okay, Jay.
Are you done?
I am done. I'm sorry. I'm not sitting in 100-degree weather, 100-degree heat in my apartment.
Yeah, it's brutal in here.
Turn the AC on, dude.
I would. I don't have an AC in this room.
Why the hell do you not have an AC in this room?
Because I'm not rich and I don't have central air, and I ran out of money after 2 air conditioners. I didn't have enough money for a third. So that's my life.
Okay.
That's why I'm studying for the goddamn CPA, so I can have money and move out of this garbage hole I live in. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back probably in 2 weeks unless something major happens. But you can listen to our comedy show, The Brink of Sanity, at brinkofsanityshow.com or in iTunes.
You don't want to do next week to cover the first summer league game?
Oh, that's definitely worth the whole episode for the summer league game. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back soon.
Happy trails to my